Welcome, Chimosabis. It's another edition of 30 with Tony. We got the best news, the bossest music, and the most amazing classic clips. Did you see that idiot Chris Murphy? Let me tell you, if I were on your side of the earth, I would call up my lead croc, Gordon Liddy, and he would end this very quickly. That name, the Dirty Tricks Gang, was not given for laughs. But don't despair. We got a lot of hope now. And let's get it on Chimosabis. It's alright.
Kemosabi's, it's Tony D'Angelo. It is Thursday, February 20th, 2025, 3 p.m. Eastern, Ada Domini in the year of our Lord. So happy to have you here for this edition of 30 with Tony. Very grateful to each and every one of you. I can't say that enough because you guys have been outstanding in your support of this show and your support of me. You're sending it to friends, and I'm just so touched and so grateful for all you do. I'm grateful to our video contributors and our music contributors. I think we've got terrific music this week, and plus this makes an incredible show, and it makes we're doing something that no one else is doing. And that's what I want to do, not for the sake of being different. There are a lot of fine offerings out there. I watch them and I listen to them. But if I'm just coming out here doing the same thing that everybody else does, and I'm just saying even valuable stuff, that's not really a help to you. So I work as hard as I possibly can to give you a perspective that I'd like to think you're not getting anywhere else. That's my goal in doing this. And also to tell the truth. We had a discussion over the weekend about political people and political things. And to me, it's obvious. It's a no-brainer The things to be fixed are so glaring, but yet you live in a state like Connecticut, and supposed opposition to things never, ever, ever really comes out and gives you the unvarnished truth. If anything else, it kind of looks like maybe a slimmed down version of the same nonsense that you're getting in many respects. And I don't know why that is. Is it pandering to the state electorate or the state unions or whatever? I don't know. I mean, I think all that's got to end personally if the state has any chance of survival whatsoever. But be that as it may, I want to get right into our subject today, which is apropos of what we're discussing. It's a club and you ain't in it. It's a club and you ain't in it. And we're going to look at a few things here and there that they're not telling you, other than the fact that there are some people that are telling you, but they in them, their club, ain't telling you and don't want you to know and won't acknowledge it and won't do anything with it. Because basically that speaks to their, shall we say, in many cases, incompetence, malfeasance, redundancy, and lack of governing skills. I believe me. I mean, I can probably just do a whole show just saying two words, Chris Murphy, and your imagination. You're watching me. You have imagination. I don't have to do anything else. I mean, that's a circus act in and of itself. But we're not going to talk about Mr. Murphy today as such. Embarrassment that he is. But anyway, I want to look at a couple of things here to show you what is happening in the world, what ain't happening in Connecticut, and what you can do in order to make things happen. How about that, right? So let's go over here to the share, and hopefully I got this right. Hey! Finally, got it. There is hope for me after all. If you have not read it, and I may do this every week, and I'm probably remiss if I don't, but I am going to take you to the Saturday, February 15th, 2025 edition of Bob Swick's article, Swick Speak. And Bob talks about Doge, the government outreach, if you will, Elon Musk and the irrepressible big balls who are going through agencies and just ripping stuff up to the point where you've got Congress people who are incredibly upset. Now, mind you, I was graciously offered to be on Freedom on Deck in 94.9 this past Saturday. And I was talking to C.V. Burton, and I said, mind you, C.V., not every single person who in Congress who is troubled by Doge is Chuck Schumer or AOC or Ayanna Pressley or the rest of that freak show of incompetency. But there's a lot of Republicans because most people govern not on the money, but on money. My congressman in this particular part of Connecticut, Joe the Incompetent Courtney, will hide for 16 months. Maybe he'll throw a photo op here and there. Maybe there'll be a newsletter here and there. He will pass his work, if you will, to his largely incompetent office staff. And his general counsel just adores me to tears, I'm sure you can imagine. And he will show up in the stretch 4 months before an election and start throwing money around. And then after he's reelected, he'll go and hide again. And that to me is despicable. It's sickening. And it's not governance. It's literally buying your office with taxpayer money. And what Joe will not account for is his incompetency in signing a disaster declaration, which he should have done in 2024 for Windham County when the weather was bad. And it would have caused a great alleviation of fiscal burden to people in my county, where I live. But you see, unfortunately, we're Caucasians. Who the hell cares about us? But that's basically what it comes down to. So I operate on a biblical principle. I call myself a Christian man. I call myself a flawed Christian man. But there is a biblical principle that says that if you're faithful in little and faithful in much, and if Joe Courtney can't check a damn disaster box on a disaster declaration, what happens if something life-threatening to the nth degree comes along? I mean, could we trust him to do anything? Well, draw your own conclusions about that. Now, I am really on board with this whole thing of get rid of FEMA and Department of Education and these career bureaucracies that basically largely are homes for the incompetent and in some cases the terminally mentally ill. But my concern here, and I don't want the Donald Trump administration to forget us, is that if you're in a state like mine, where your governor is King Governor Ned Lamont the Unaccountable, who basically I don't think can take a shower some days without assistance. What if you give him a pot of money? What is he going to do? Now, and these, whatever you want to call it, these gas bags, thank God there's fewer of them because the claim was so ridiculous that, oh, Ned did a great job during COVID. Bob Stefanowski ran for governor in 2022 for the Republican Party and said, oh, Ned did a great job during COVID. I mean, my Lord. My Lord, all of the evidence, Bob, was in your face and you chose to ignore it. You chose to ignore it. But that all said, with that whole thing behind you, and there he had McKinsey, and there he had, Big Brother Andrew, and, the media machine, and, the intimidation machine, and the social media censorship. He had all that. Take away all that and give Ned a pot of money. What's he going to do with it? Blow it up his nose? Go to the Cayman Islands, hand Annie a few investments. I mean, we don't know, and you may think that's ridiculous, but honestly, truthfully, there is more on my claim of that than your claim that Ned knows how the hell to govern. And I mean, it's almost unfair for me to pick on Ned with that because it's more than a Ned problem. It's an incompetency problem. It's a failure of governance problem. It is a failure of intelligence problem. It is a failure of literacy problem. It is a failure of building things up rather than taking them down problem. Because look at it this way. Strong men and strong women need little governance. They know what they need to do. They'll go about their business. I was saying to somebody the other day, I don't care if a robot is my governor. I don't care if Adolf Hitler is my governor. All I want Adolf Hitler to do is to stay the hell out of the way, keep taxes low, keep the streets safe, make a friendly business environment, and make this a place where I want to be prosperous. I'm not enamored with Adolf Hitler. I hate the man's guts, and he's dead. But that's, we get all, well, this politician wants to do this and this politician wants to do that. They understand so very little. They understand so very little about anything. And what gets me excited about a Doge is, now you see, I've been working this on the other side of the table for over 40 years, and I've seen this. And I've confronted politicians on this, and they've run from me. Hello, Lenny Fasano. And, this is, I've known this. Now it's here for the world to see. And oh boy, I am so thrilled. But again, not without its warts. The less money you can give Ned Lamont, the better you will be. The less money you can give Bill Tong, the better off you would be. The less money you would give the Connecticut Department of Health and Department of Education, the better off you would be. Not because health, education, and law are bad things, but when you hand large amounts of money to incompetence, it does not cause for a good result. You don't believe me? Take your 3-year-old, if you got a 3-year-old, and throw him the car keys. Let's have some fun. Let's see what happens. But anyway, Bob is hitting this thing, Bob Swick, on Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, and just the sin and the rot that we're seeing in just your money, okay? Your money. Now, maybe you don't care about your money because you're one of them. You benefit from the race of those that are governmentally supported, as opposed to the race of those that are not governmentally supported. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but man, I mean, I had it years ago. I had it 20 years ago. I had it 30 years ago. Now I am ready to freaking blow my top and explode. Bob goes through a great article, which I'm not going to go through in detail because, as I said, I'm signing it for homework. I want you to read it. Go to the Doge website and goes through some of the frauds and some of the messes that are happening in the federal government. Now, Connecticut wants you to either believe one of two things. There is no Doge. There is no Doge. Watch Channel 8. Watch, Wednesday's Child. I have nothing against kids being adopted. But these are the things that are important. These, we're welcoming. We care about everything. Meanwhile, the world's going to hell. Again, I have absolutely nothing against adoption. I've got a number of adopted beasts here that were abused. Okay, so don't call me heartless. I don't have an adopted child. I never got around to do that, and there's a long story about that. I'll share it if you want to know, but I won't do it now because I'd be taking up time. But that all kind of being as it is, these contracts are disgusting. The Department of Education terminated 89 contracts worth $88.1 million. A contractor was paid $1.5 million to observe mailing and clerical operations at a mail center. That's nice work if you can get it right. I mean, if I go to my Pomfret post office and I observe the people coming out and going in for a day, what will they give me? Probably will give me a red rear end and a scolding, because that's what I would deserve in that case. Read down $50 million. You've all heard of the condoms in Gaza. I mean, it's sick how this goes on. Now, two things are happening in Connecticut. Number one, I don't hear one turkey politician. I'm going right across the board, okay? There are no sacred cows here. I don't hear one turkey. I don't hear one supposedly good politician saying we need to Doge Connecticut. You know why? Because they're all so beholden to the damned unions and the damn state workers. And that's indicative of a welfare state. I mean, is this the idea in Connecticut? We're just going to keep building the welfare state to this point where it just breaks off and sinks the rest of us. And, we're just, life is great. And whoever's there in the legislature, hey, I'll get my 10 years, I'll go to Florida. And I was a legislator, and, that'll get you maybe a free drink in a McDonald's down there somewhere. Is this what it is? I want to see someone come along and set up governance. You're going to run for governor? Set up governance. Job number one, I will get rid of the tampon dispensers in the boys' bathroom. Job number two, there are only two flags that will fly on flagpoles. The federal flag, United States of America, Old Glory, and the Connecticut flag. All the other flags, there's some valuable flags, they can fly on other poles, but the government flagpole has to have only those two things. How about let's have executors, I've got too much trust in the states in my head. Executive order number 3, there are only two genders. There's only two genders, female and male, man, woman, boy, girl. Only a woman can give birth. I mean, why can't a candidate come and do this? How about something else here? How about let's have freedom of information for all of the state-connected nonprofits. We'll get to that in a little bit. Simple bean stuff, but their club is benefited by that stuff. And when you're over there and I'm yelling over here and Bob Swick's yelling over there and some of the other folks are yelling, they don't want you to listen to me. And if you don't believe me, they tried. Hi, Tony Wong. They tried several years ago to have whatever licensed journalists. You must get your information from a licensed journalist. Go back and look at that, SB 405, 2 sessions ago. Look at my testimony. Look at some of the others. The most sickening indictment of a communistical police state I've ever seen. It made my blood curdle. And it's that, and this was there. And apparently the Republican Party, such as it is in Connecticut, allowed the senator to produce this bill. And people said I've been too hard on Tony Wong. I don't know the man. I'm sure he doesn't want to know me either. I have nothing against the man. I don't want to see harm come to him. But all I'm saying is I'm not particularly interested in somebody who thinks like that. I'm not particularly interested in a lot of what legislators think. And believe me, if they're zigging, I'm zagging, basically. I have enough problems without trying to get to some understanding of whatever little brain thunderstorm is happening on that particular day. But that all said, these are the simple things of governance. And where the political system and the media system and quote unquote, the legitimate media, I'm sounding like Kitty Carlisle, doesn't want you to know is that more and more people are getting, hey, we need Doge in Connecticut. We really need Doge in Connecticut. We need to see where these dollars are going. Because look at it this way. Before I came out here this afternoon, my wife, the patron saint of feeding anybody that is hungry, told me that her son was telling her that for a dozen farm eggs in Maine, they can get $12. Now, Maine, in many cases, other than the coastline, is not a particularly wealthy area. May not be. It's another blue state. It's that kind of thing. $1 an egg. $1, one egg. One of my group members told me that in Southern California, it was $18 a dozen. Now you look at that, and somebody who is trying to feed a family and trying to give them nutritious food and trying to keep them from harm and sickness and things like that. It's like, and then you got to write a check for your income taxes. You've had enough, right? I've had enough of government supported incompetency. So the light is going on, but the political system does not want you to think that way. They want you to keep feeding the monkey. Okay, I'm going to go off share for that just a little bit. Feeding the monkey. I'll say it again to the Greeks in the back row. Feeding the monkey. Okay, let's get back to the share. And that's the whole thing. So you got a lot of nervous people. And because a lot of these people can't govern, the only thing they could do is throw money. So when it comes down to everything that's there, a light is going on. But let me tell you, we're going to get to it in a moment. You're going to need a lot of light to jam it down the dark tunnels of Connecticut and get a realization. It's, how can I put it? Everything's got an economic breaking point. You can go and live a frivolous life and govern frivolously and be stupid and whatever until the money runs out. Then it's like, high-handed holy hell, you want to kill the person that lied to you. So these people who live in this dream world, in other words, them in that club will have their comeuppance very shortly. But, they need to know that this can't go on for all the time that they think their club can go on. One thing I do want to pay particular attention to, Bob talked about, actually, I'm not going to run through this. We've got an issue. We're going to look at one as we go down the road here. But I want you to know something. And again, I am Lawrence D'Angelo's youngest favorite broken record son. I say things time and time and time again. You may think I might repeat things too often, but my Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ, kept saying to the apostles, again I say to you, again I say to you, again I say to you. Well, again I say to you is we've got nonprofits in government doing governing in the state of Connecticut that are exempt from freedom of information. Exempt. You can't get at them. We'll get into that in a little bit. But basically, this has been an acceptable standard. And where I have yelled and screamed on the Lee Elsey show and in other places that this must end. This must stop. Is there one freaking turkey trot politician, liberal, conservative, Democrat, beanie copter, anybody whatsoever saying, yeah, he's right. People do have a right to know where their tax dollars go and what's happening? Not a blessed thing. Not a blessed thing. This is where the state becomes the enemy of the people. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. It's just how it comes down. Because if what the state was doing and governing and governance were so damn good, why wouldn't they want to show us? You know, they leave it to us to dig and to assemble jigsaw puzzles, and they just go about their merry way and keep raising your Eversource bill and keep raising your park fee and things like that. But we have really, I've talked about crime in Connecticut. And let me just roll this down here a little bit. There was a gentleman, if you can call him that, 10 years ago in New York. He was the Democrat Speaker of the House of Representative of the state legislature, Sheldon Silver. Sheldon Silver, just going to get a sip of tea if you don't mind. That's what happens when you yell. Sheldon Silver was a partner in a law firm known as Whites and Luxembourg. And what they did was mesothelioma law. And the cancer, people who have been affected on job sites. And Sheldon Silver effectively wrote policy and law so people would steer business to his firm. He used his position of influence. He used his position of, quote unquote, directing the puck. And Sheldon Silver rightfully went to jail for this. But, we've got the same situation in Connecticut. Same damn situation. Again, this is a club and you ain't in it. And this is what's called racketeering. What is racketeering? Racketeering is, shall we say, unleveling the playing field so you will have an advantage. In other words, you're making a racket, right? Not a racket of noise, but you're steering things to what are good for you. Now, I made a tweet actually, and you can go back and look at it, that the Connecticut Speaker of the House, analogous situation to Sheldon Silver, Matt Ritter of Shipman and Goodwin, is involved in drafting law. Now, this whole recusal nonsense, I didn't, they drafted that without me. Yeah, cough, spit. What conversations did you have? What lobbying did your firm do? Now, shall I say, the business of doing that is very favorable to Mr. Ritter's firm, Shipman and Goodwin, because they are in a position to influence the law so that they will have a robust immigration practice, quote unquote, which this week we looked at an article, which I covered on Twitter in that tweet, which basically had a young lady associate saying, a lot of our clients are upset about what's happening with Trump. What does that tell you? Clients have got illegal workers. And the law firm is counseling the clients that have illegal workers. And there's a whole lot of, let your mind run wild on that. Now, that's one thing. But yet, for a functional, probably one of the most powerful partners in that firm, to go and be in the position to influencing the laws that benefit his firm. I mean, overtly, the guy's got his picture on brochures, for crying out loud. And this is not beyond an outrage. Why is it different than what happened with Sheldon Silver? Why isn't Matt Ritter called for to either A, resign, or B, face charges? I'd like to say go to jail, but, we still have a trial system in this country. Nobody's saying a word. I hear nothing from any of these Republican senators, not a damn word. I mean, maybe they're starting to talk about it, but like that day, that tweet, which got thousands of views, thousands, and retweets and quote tweets and everything else. A lot more than you're going to get in your damn newspaper. But basically, nothing, nothing. I mean, what are they? I mean, are we going to have another one of these papal bulls that come out of the Connecticut GOP that, this is deplorable conduct and it needs to be stopped? Kind of like the same thing that happened that the CT GOP did with the statement on Terrence Chang at CCSU. This gentleman should resign. Well, why aren't you asking that the gentleman either pay restitution or spend a little time in the pokey guys, right? Or what happened with Bob Duff, right? Bob Duff was, these horrible things that he said about people, which is, kind of typical for him. He didn't call for his resignation. Why is that? Why does that always happen? This is unacceptable conduct. Do not accept this. And you see, the thing is, I'm a person here. We all have limits, but I'm a person here of the means, and I'm blessed with the means that I have. It takes a lot more than me. This is where you need to go to your legislator, when you're gas bag idiot dope, presumably, in a lot of cases, and say, you put a stop to this. What is wrong with you? And then come back and tell me that they ain't doing anything. And hey, listen, we're going to hammer them here. We'll hammer them on the Lee Elsey show. This is disgusting. This is despicable. No person should be able to use the law of the state of Connecticut and write it in such a way to further their own interest. But then again, I mean, it comes from the mothership, right? King Governor Ned Lamont the Unaccountable, actually, who submitted a bogus ethics agreement, which was nonsense. He basically had his counsel draft an agreement limiting certain things, and all he did was work around them. And it was, it's one thing to say, and this is the whole thing. He doesn't talk about that anymore, right? It's like, used to be, oh, it's a terrible thing. Oh, I have an ethics agreement. Look, I'm ethical. Stupid news media, state-run news media sat there and said, yeah, he's ethical, right? Ned's a good guy. But it was D'Angelo that took this and threw it up on the screen and said, hey, wait a minute. All this really does is stop his wife from dealing directly with the state. It doesn't stop a nonprofit. It doesn't stop a partnership that has these equities, like in the Cayman Islands and things like that. He basically was standing there wearing a barrel, and none of these turkeys did a blessed thing about it. Were they embarrassed? Were they scared? Were they beholden? Were they on the take? I don't know. But all I'm really saying is you deserve better. Chuck in the truck, you deserve better. My fans in southeastern Connecticut, you deserve better. You deserve more than that. That's this despicable conduct. Terrible. Racketeering. Al Capone would be ashamed. It's like, Sammy the Bull would be ashamed. Unbelievable. But anyway, read Bob Swick's article. We deserve better. We deserve a Doge in Connecticut. Which one of you turkey trot lily-livered politicians is going to suggest that? We're looking at you. We're looking at you. We're watching you. And we're not going to listen to the blather. We're not going to listen to the, we're watching the budget and that sort of thing. Doge, consolidate departments. Full transparency, full nonprofit transparency. Why do I and others have to go around the block to get a little bit? And the little bit we're seeing is so embarrassing and so incriminating and so horrible. Think of it, Matt Ritter, a young lady associate in his firm that, well, here I am, I'm doing God's work. Ain't I great? Not even really realizing that what she was saying is, my firm is benefiting by what my partner is doing. This is how brain dead and how sick and obtuse this all is. But anyway, if you like peanut butter, you'll love Skippy, right? Let's give you a little Skippy. Connecticut Mirror. Actually, I don't want to go there just yet. I want to go to there. Here's the Connecticut News Junkie article, Brian Scott Smith, February 11, 2025. And we have a lady here. Her name is Lisa Tepper-Bates. Now, again, let me backtrack a little bit because I've got very good group members that hold me to the fire because they're new to what I've been doing for years and years and years. And the problem is when you've been doing things for years and years and years, you expect everybody to know what you do. And you occasionally leave out some parts where it's helpful to go back and explain it going forward because it's like, oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you that. But anyway, when in that whole thing, we have, I don't know how many, Bob Swick, I believe, covered it last or the week before last. The amazing amount of nonprofits in Connecticut that are unaccountably handed millions of dollars or that no oversight, no direction, no nothing whatsoever. And I asked the question as to, other than somebody, which, maybe we'll do this, charting out every single one and, doing a citizen doge, because freaking legislature ain't doing a damn thing, and shaking people down, overtly on Twitter, on social media, on 30 with Tony and the Lee Elsey show. You're talking a lot of people there we're going to get at and say, what the hell are you doing? Why does this go on? Why is this fun? What great benefit am I receiving from what you're doing? Other than the fact of them there that won't let you and then their club might be benefiting greatly. But listen, I look at the same house. I look at the same barn, the same studio, the same 16-year-old car. I'm not complaining about any of it. God has blessed me tremendously, but I mean, it wasn't like the state of Connecticut was instrumental in whatever, I may have been blessed in receiving. But there's a lot of people who were vested in the state of Connecticut, and that is wrong. That is wrong, because how on earth could you get private investment in something like that? Anybody coming in wanting to invest in something wants, maybe he wants an advantage. That's okay. There's nothing wrong in that. There's nothing wrong in asking, but I think at the very least he wants a level playing field. Well, but anyway, here is Lisa Tepper-Bates. Now, she is represented to be the president of the United Way of Connecticut. Now, she's in front of the legislature before these women, and they are similarly situated women. And she's complaining she needs money. And the money she needs is something for a 211 service that provides answers to people who need non-emergency help. Okay, get that through your head. We're not talking 911. We're talking connections for services, people needing information. I need information every day. I need information every minute. I need information that is critical to what I may do here, what I may do on the show, on the radio show, and also for my work. Now, what do I do when I need information? Well, I sit in front of a computer or newspaper or my phone or something, and I dig it out. I ask questions, I discuss, and that's how I do it. That's how and all of those resources are either low or no cost, right? No cost really as such. I mean, yeah, you got to pay for the internet. Yeah, you got to pay for the visual software, but I don't even really need that for information's sake. I need that for production's sake. But anyway, we got Lisa Tepper-Bates. There she is. She is the CEO. This is just one. Okay, this is just one I'm going to give you. President of the United Way of Connecticut. She explains the size of the problem. Now, she said last year we got 430,000 phone calls for people, non-emergency, to provide support and resources, and a total of 1.8 million inquiries that also includes our website. Okay. 430,000 phone calls. And do a little chicken scratch math. I think that comes to like 1,100 or something a day. Notice you've got a lot more people here going to the website. Most people these days, even the least literate among us, throw me there if you want, go to the website. It's there used to be something when I was growing up called, there were two, you'd pick up the kitchen phone in the D'Angelo household. There was only one phone. And you had to be wealthy to have two phones in your house. I mean, if you were calling a girl that had her own phone, man, she was rich. But anyway, well, that's another story for another time. But the how could I put it? There were two parties on that line. There was the operator who would, quote unquote, handle problems with the phone and inquiries, and then there was information, and that was it. So now those services, if you will, are non-existent. You don't need them. They're obsolete because people can get their own phone information and get their own phone numbers. I could remember, like, 25, 30 years ago, where I had one partner that would keep phone directories in his closet and would go to look up numbers because he would tell the people that work for him, yeah, every time you do that, you're getting, it's 50 cents and I can't afford it. So look up the number. And that's basically but now we go to Google and that whole thing is obsolete. So here's the United Way of Connecticut thinking, well, we got a lot more web inquiries than we got phone calls. Why do we have so many phone calls? And is there a better way to reduce our budget and make things more efficient by having a user-friendly, perhaps an AI-based web interface? It's believe me, you'll get a lot more from Grok these days than you will from people. It's the way of the world. It's what's happening. But you've got Lisa Tepper-Bates. We'll look at her pedigree in a moment, saying, we need more money. We need more money. And what's she asking for? We have an increase in traffic to our phone lines and website, but we're struggling to keep up with the demand. Well, is your problem, Ms. Tepper-Bates, organizational? Is your problem that you're trying to drive a Packard Clipper in a Chevy Suburban world? Are we looking at that? No, you're just over here kind of begging for money. Now, I want you to look at something. The service is 50 years old, and it's essentially running with a website the same way that it did 50 years ago. And she's saying, our state funding has been stagnant since this is actually Eric Harrison, CEO of United Way of Central and Northeastern Connecticut. Hey, wait a minute. How many CEOs do we need? I mean, shouldn't there be like one CEO? I mean, are you guys so overworked you need a bunch of CEOs? Listen, these are the questions I'm asking. And we got another one here, Shawanda Swain. She's the CEO of United Way in Middlesex County. Well, why do we need 3 CEOs? I mean, can't one person administrate this nonprofit? Can't there be an intelligent delivery of resources? I'm not decrying the human need. Okay, let's be clear about that. I'm not decrying the human need, but what I am decrying is what looks to be ostensible redundancy and inefficiency. Now, look at what's being requested. $2.25 million annual increase in state funding. That's the increase. That's the increase for a system that ostensibly is 50 years old in approach. And this person here says, well, I want to say voice-to-voice, person-to-persons are more important than ever in our increasingly digital world. Well, that's all cool. And doesn't mean that you got to, quote unquote, remove the person out of it, but you can filter a lot from that before you just increase people. Because when you increase people, you increase problems, you increase benefits, you increase sick days, you increase, mental health days and holidays and all that. And then that all has to be paid for. The Doge effort and the intelligent business efforts, like how can I do this? How can I deliver these services more efficiently and more along the lines of making things palatable? I don't deny the human need at all. The human need is largely because of the wreckage of what them in that club will not let you into, and it's done to their wreckage. Now, they're talking about being the national leader in the 211 network. And what they're talking about here is quote unquote non emergency services. And these people talk about the critical resource. Now, here's Samantha Rosado of Waterbury, who lost the home she lived in with her family. If Samantha Rosado wanted to get a roof over her head and you gave her a website, somehow I think Samantha Rosado would find her way to a home. I mean, I'm not being crude or cruel here. I'm being actual. I'm being factual. It's this thinking, if you will, and you can read down the rest of this article if you want. I'm just wondering, is there anything here? It's this thinking that says we need, and this is the problem with government. We need more money to do the same darn thing that we did 50 years ago. And we just want to increase funding. And we just want to increase bodies when there are technologies available that can make things a whole lot more efficient, and B, deliver services to a whole lot more people. I can't tell you the last time I called phone information. Might have been, I don't know, 1986. I don't know. I really don't know. But basically, when you look at this, you've got to look at the, whatever you want to call it. Every tree is known by its fruit. So let's look at Lisa Tepper-Bates. Okay, there she is. Where do I begin? She's a netophile. She was named by the Unaccountable as Connecticut's Senior Coordinator for Housing and Transit-Oriented Development. Kind of cool, right? I mean, you know the right people and you get to the right places in that world of them. Now, during COVID-19, she became the chair of the Recovery and Immediate Needs subgroup of the state's emergency management team. She's hitting a lot of high notes here. She was part of the statewide framework that drove the state into ruin. They used the word recovery from COVID. I used the word ruin. She was a diplomat. Boy, this one's really flying some flags here. She was in Washington, and she was a special assistant for Europe to the Undersecretary of State. And she was Poland, Albania, and Yugoslavia. Now, you could read down, she's got the right schooling. It was Georgetown and Yale. So, and she's a member of the Stonington Board of Police Commissioners. I am not knocking the person's accomplishment, but all I'm saying is when you look at the heads of nonprofits and NGOs, they all seem to be in a certain mode. Why is that? And when you have the Unaccountable appointing her, what does that tell you? The Unaccountable is not going to appoint somebody who's contrary to his wishes. And you never, how can I put it? Organizationally speaking, what I like about the Trump cabinet is he's got Democrats. You know, he's got sane Democrats, good people, Tulsi Gabbard, Robert Kennedy. They don't agree with Trump on everything, but yet they do agree on the function that you need healthy dissension and varying viewpoints. And when it comes to quote unquote steering the mothership in the right direction, we agree in the right direction. But when you're Nedzo, you tend to pick people that are just like you, almost like a parade of sycophants. And it's just, this is the way it goes. Now, that is something I think that is more than worthy of analysis, because I look at Lisa Tepper-Bates, as I look at so many of these people and say, well, what do they know about managing money? What do they know about organizational efficiency? What do they know about getting more with less? What do they know about aggressiveness? What do they know about making things more efficient to deliver more production at less cost. These are things as a, private business person, I am faced with every single day. A large part of the success that's been here is doing things that the larger shops cannot and doing them quicker and better. That's something I had to learn. Lisa Tepper-Bates knows that I get money, I do work, and oh yeah, if I'm running, the poor mouth, I need to ask for more money. I need to ask for another $2.9 million. But that all said, we come down to my question to the unaccountable, my question to them that are in that club that won't allow you in that club is, why don't we have different voices? Normie Needleman, right, is saying a couple weeks ago with the energy mess. We're going to look at that a little bit as we start to wind this down, but we need to get all minds at the table. Well, hey, Norm, I'm over here, man. Bob Swick's over there. George Colley's over there. Why aren't you asking them? You're not going to ask the questions that topple your house of cards. This is the whole thing. This is the whole thing. The automobile industry in Detroit, which had to be bailed out from nothing on more than one occasion, had this type of thinking. We're going to get our people to think like us to make the American car. And in doing that, they made some of the worst cars imaginable. They ran the things into the ground. They had their butt kicked by Toyota and Nissan and Honda. It's like, oh yeah, now we have to do things different. That's the whole thing. Ford Motor Company, people I know driving around here, they seem to like these big Ford trucks. That's great. I mean, me, myself, and I do like looking at the antique Fords, but I cringe. Because, the Ford family ran Ford into the ground. The taxpayers had to bail it out. So it's that kind of a thing. And that's why the cost of that Ford is so expensive, because they're paying for their past inefficiencies. If you keep getting government pedigreed, hand-stamped people who are, beholden to the unaccountable, you're not going to get a different result, folks. You're just not going to. But anyway, what tells us about what's happening is the numbers, right? Disclosure. Now, I'm going to show you something. Here's the 2022-2023 Form 990 for the United Way of Connecticut. This is public information. I have posted, and I encourage you to do this. Curious about it, and come back and tell me, because we need to look at it. A nonprofit in Connecticut and what they're doing and how they're going about it. These things aren't hard to read. I mean, they look a little imposing, but you can go to the IRS website and you can pull up past tax returns very easily. And you can go down them and you can find out a lot. Now, what you cannot do, because Connecticut does not allow you to, is you cannot FOI that organization, which is an abomination because so much of their money is your tax dollars. That's the way your lovely legislature decided it. Okay. And believe me, there are Democrats and Republicans in that. You had idiot Republicans running around saying, well, we have quasi-public so we can get government out of the way. I mean, I heard a Republican senator say that, Paul Formica. I mean, basically, I wish I had Elvis Presley's money to shoot the damn screen with a Derringer. But anyway, they got, let's just say here, they got 387 people employed. It's a lot of people. Let me just blow this up a little bit. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, why do you need so many people? Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but it sounds kind of interesting to me, especially when you're looking for more funding for an operation that could be made a whole lot more efficiently, especially in this day and age. Cohn Resnick, a firm with a lot of state connections, did the tax return. But I want you to look at the salaries here. I want you to look at this. And you can read down and let me just, got to scroll down a little bit. Before we get to the salaries, let me blow this up. I'm going to move my head out of the screen here a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. On the 990, you got to list the people that are getting your resources. The Expedia Interaction Marketing Group And Erie, Pennsylvania is the biggest recipient of the dollar grants to the United Way of Connecticut. $1.74 million. They're largely it says a staffing agency. They're a call center. You can look them up. So you've got 300 some odd people in the United Way working, but you need a call center, and you need one in Erie, Pennsylvania. What about, how could I put it? What about our useless and should be abolished Department of Economic and Community Destruction, working on a call center for if you really need it? I mean, I think you could do this without, quote unquote, having to pay somebody to support physical calls. Because if you want information, you're going to get it. Hey, I'm hungry. You'll look it up on your phone. You'll ask somebody. You'll figure it out. But anyway, you have a call center at $1.7 million out of state. I mean, I don't know. Who knows who here? I mean, like if this were presented at, and I'm not talking a woke idiot corporation, but a meaningful for-profit board meeting, the first thing any CEO with half a brain would say is, well, could we do that for less and do it more cheaply or better? And we've got, this has got to blow up here. How do they survive? $36 million of government grants. Mel Allen on the Game of the Week would say, that's a how about that, basically. Think about it. You could read down the other contracts, but I want you to look at something here. I want you to look at something. In that, here's the board members. I don't know if they jump out at anybody. Oh, Greg Butler. Hey, how about that? Is that the same Greg Butler in Advanced CT? The same Greg Butler in Eversource? Somewhat of a common name, but provokes a curiosity. Now, Lisa Tepper-Bates is making $218,000 a year. Nice work if you can get it. Now, the justification people say in nonprofits is, well, the United Healthcare guy that was shot in the street got, 18 million or something like that, so I'm worth it. Well, I mean, not for nothing, but for 200 some odd $1,000, I think you earn your money if you can make this enterprise a lot more sufficient and efficient. But if you want to cast the characters, you got a bunch of them here. Mitch Beauregard, the treasurer, $136,000 a year. $37 million, is not that much to account for, really. It could be, not that we have them here, but I've dealt with trust accountings that are bigger. Amy Casavina Hall, $130,000. Shara Sutera, $157,000. Leo Pellerin, Chief Information Officer. What for IT for $37 million? Tanya Barrett, I think we ran into her before. 100. I don't think we ran into her. 142, and Wendy Caruso, who's running 211 that we're talking about, $124,000. Okay. So if I go back to here, they want $2.9 million more dollars, $2.25 million, because actually I don't want to go there just yet, because there's a job involved in running that. See, this is the whole thing. People are starting to see what all this means, because if you are in the social services, you are to socially serve. If you are in public services, you are to publicly serve. Listen, I'm looking at a money tree here, basically. And just want to see, in the interest of time, the funding has been consistent, has been taxpayer dollars from the state of Connecticut, because not so much here, but This is a person who is very close to the unaccountable. That's what this is about. I don't know her whatever competency level. I don't know her managerial skills, but what I do see, which is very evident by what I've shown you, is an effort in doing the same things. Now, I've spent what, 20 minutes with this thing, and I'm showing you what's glaringly wrong to me, but the unaccountable doing his budget address isn't going to show you any of that. I mean, listen, this isn't rocket science. And go back to Bob Swick here. People have had enough. People have had enough with double dealing, being close to the governor, and seeing their tax dollars go for, quote unquote, people that are connected to the governor who really do not have an incentive to run things better. It's like, if it were me and if I were faced with this problem, I would say, well, okay, we have an increasing need in the state. We have an increasing need in the state because we're run by morons who are driving the state into the ground. How do we deliver better services cheaper? Because, assuming arguendo, we're going to have to get along with less. Many, many people in nonprofits measure their success by the size of their budgets. That is groupthink, group speak. That type of thing needs to stop. And believe me, it will stop in and of its own if it can't be sustained. And the problem is there's going to be human wreckage because of it, because of that kind of money going into nonprofits to support the nonprofit. $1.7 million for call center in this day and age. I mean, what the person that you're paying whatever in the heck it was, $120,000, does she pick up the phone? I mean, these are the questions I'm asking. But anyway, just a little bit more on it's a club and you ain't in it. When I saw this on Saturday, I really wanted to go to eBay and buy a Derringer. A large part of these people over here and over here telling you or not telling you or not wanting you to know what's happening in their club is because they only want their club to be the controlled universe for them. Now, there's an article here Kevin Rennie wrote in the Hartford Courant. It's not a bad article, but this headline here is offensive. Kevin Rennie thinks that we have open government laws. Kevin Rennie thinks that we have freedom of information. Kevin Rennie thinks that, we have, and we may lose this cloak if this whole, Eversource mess with Marissa Gillette and legislators not asking the right questions. We may lose this benefit that we have. And I'm thinking to myself, is this guy deaf, dumb, drunk, high, or dishonest? What planet is he playing on to think that we have anything close to open record laws in the state of Connecticut? Look at this, right? Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. Look at what goes into there. Look at what they won't tell you. Look at, what Bob Swick was saying, advanced CT and 4CT. Here you go. Why can't we see what's in them? Because the legislature doesn't want you to. But anyway, getting back to that. It's like you can read the article, which really is, shall I say, it is the farce and there is a thing in Connecticut government, them in that club, that don't want you to know what they know, and they don't want to let you in, and they don't want to tell you the truth. But where I wanted to shoot out the screen is in this utility dispute. Ed Mahoney of the Hartford Courant obtained incriminating text messages between Marissa Gillette and Representative Jonathan Steinberg. And through a public records request of Steinberg, Steinberg and Mahoney get this information? What if D'Angelo asks for the information? What if Swick asks for the information? What if Colley asks for the information? What if Elsie asks for the information? You get, as they say in the Italian vernacular, ugazz, because you ain't one of them. You ain't one of them, and they don't want to tell you what they're doing. Oh, they want to make you think that there is such a thing as open government, and that there is such a thing as there's information that is there for you, and you should have it. And this is, these people are, quote unquote, presumed honest, but what they're doing now is bad, but our overall law is good. And it's like there's in your eye with a pizza pie. It's like, I'm so angry I can't even speak. When you see the Hartford Courant being able to get things, and Tony D'Angelo of the Lee Elsie Show with six-figure listenership and this program cannot get anything, what does that tell you? It tells you one of two things. Okay, let's be very honest. It tells you, number one, Tony D'Angelo is a nut, a crackpot, a jerk, and shouldn't be let near anything regarding any issue whatsoever. He should be dismissed as a nut. The same nut that told you about the $72 million marketing media contract, the same nut that told you about the Cayman Islands and the Lamont, the same nut that told you about Advanced CT, the same nut that told you about the Horse Barn Hill Investment Fund at UConn. He's crazy. Don't pay any attention to him. Or perhaps there's things that they don't like the questions I'm asking. Something like this does not threaten the infrastructure. And Kevin Rennie can pontificate about open government laws as if we have such things. But anyway, I just wanted to show you something here. These are the things, made a list, that there's more that I have asked on your behalf that they've never given me. Now, they give me things when I ask, but they put so much black paint on things, I could paint my black car with it. It's hysterical. But this is what you're not getting. This is what, because these are the requests I've made. They don't want you to know about this. Remember what Kevin Rennie said, open government laws, right? We should highlight that. But anyway, anything involving a state-connected nonprofit, we've been through that. I mean, this is going to be like the, up the hill at Iwo Jima. That's, you're going to have to do what I just did with the United Way of Connecticut. And yeah, there'll be more. There'll be more. Now, one thing that I had jumped on early, Josh Cabal, who was the chief of staff under the unaccountable, was communicating with the secret COVID committee that was resident in Advanced CT during COVID-19. And his assistant was a gentleman, if I've spelled that correctly, by the name of Benjamin Bechtolsheim. And there was maybe one or two references in state-run media about Mr. Bechtolsheim, assuming I've pronounced that correctly. And the requests that I made were, I want to see the communications between them. What were they talking about? Were they talking about vaccine passports? Were they talking about, shall we say, immunizing babies at birth? I am a citizen. I am a commentator. I have the right to know. They never sent me anything. I had also asked about, those of you that remember Jack Rubenstein, LLC, who had millions and millions and millions of dollars for supposed PPE and COVID, where we couldn't get the bills of lading to match up anywhere close. And it's like, what happened there? That was all part and parcel of the same mess. Interestingly enough, I never got anything about that. But what I did get one day was a very nice call from a lady in the Department of Corrections saying, I've got this PPE request, but I really don't have any information to give you. If you looked at all those Rubenstein invoices, every single one of them had Department of Corrections on them. What was the purpose of that? Do we need to outfit PPE on prisoners 4, 5, and 6 times? These are the questions I wanted answers to, and they wouldn't give me anything. And apparently they're still not. And there is no willingness on the part of any legislator to say, give us the COVID-19 records. We're finally getting the JFK assassination records. Thank you, President Trump, and the Bobby Kennedy assassination records. We're finally getting those, but there's no one in the Connecticut legislature or in the Senate who will join with me to demand these COVID-19 records from Advanced CT, because we would need to learn, right? Isn't the idea about pandemics is where did we screw up the last time and what do we need to do better? No, there's something incriminating there. They don't want you to know. Okay. Another one. Open records law, right, Mr. Rennie? Anything involving the unaccountables trips to Gaza or Israel since October 7th, 2023. Now, he went and he said he did. He told a group of legislators that he went to Gaza more than once since October 7th in 2023. He said that in 2024. Why? What's he doing over there? What state business? Is something in Israel going to come here and do something great? What is the purpose of that? That's been hanging out there a year. They won't give that to me. Remember, Mr. Rennie, we talk about open government laws. Yeah, open government, my foot. Anything at all involving Senator Martha Marks and cutting the wires at her desk in Scissorgate. Another great stalwart Republican effort asking for the prosecution of an official doing public vandalism. No, that's all right. Hey, listen, you're one of them. You can do whatever you want. That's basically what it is. And not only that, but the supposed opposing party will put up all the great pressure of a great feather duster. Now, this is Connecticut FOI. I don't know if you want to call me remiss or omissive with this, but what about the Horse Barn Hill Investment Fund? And they're going to throw up their arms and say, oh, well, that's the foundation of UConn. We can't get at that. 90 some odd million dollars in the Cayman Islands right around the time of Semaphore. They're going to say, well, we're powerless to do it. Well, they made themselves powerless to do that. But that's just another thing. These are critical items that are critical to state information. But I think just about every single thing I put on this list incriminates someone. And this is some bastardized way of them not telling you the truth in order to protect them. It's disgusting. It's sickening. It's them against you. The two races of Connecticut. It's the life the way that it is. So to recap, read Swick Speak and read about Doge. Get Doge in your heart and mind. We visited the United Way of Connecticut, and we talked about the phone system, which, I believe me, I think there's 10,000 ways you could do it a whole lot better. We visited Lisa Tepper-Bates and her particular pedigree in running this organization. We took a turn down the tax return and got to a number of different questions. And then we read an article about supposed open government laws. And I'm telling you what I'm asking, and I'm telling you what they ain't telling me. So I think I could stop the share there. Hopefully we learned something today. And what I am telling you is too long in coming. Way too long in coming. This needs to be dealt with. It's going to take a lot more than me. It takes each and every one of you guys going and hammering your legislators and hammering anybody who, quote unquote, is there, hammering the United Way and saying, what are you doing? What's going on here? Because basically, the reason why your property taxes are up, your stupid electric bill is up, your fuel deliveries are up, the fact that you can't get what you get into the house around the table is because of what we're seeing. Now, if that's acceptable to you, go get your head beat in and stay away from me. I want nothing to do with you. If that is acceptable to you as a politician where you don't speak out about it, go stay the hell away from me. I want nothing to do with you. But If it's not acceptable to you, well, these are the questions we need to be asking ourselves. And these are the things we need to do in order to make things work for once and correctly in the state of Connecticut. Man, I'm either a nut or an optimist. I choose the latter. It's Tony D'Angelo here on 30 with Tony. We'll be back with the rest of the show right after this.
Hello fun seekers. Since we like to mix fun with business, please enjoy another video classic clip, courtesy of the producers of 30 with Tony.
Of those fighting, dashing, history-making devil dogs. Now brought to the screen in the glorious saga of one of their greatest heroes, Sergeant Al Schmidt, the one-man army, whose unconquerable courage won the ringing acclaim of a nation. whose epic story traces back 10,000 miles and 10,000 dreams to a girl whose love inspired his fabulous deeds. It's John Garfield in the perfect portrayal of a perfect American, Al Schmidt, Marine. Eleanor Parker as Ruth, who would have waited till eternity. Dane Clark as Corporal Lee Diamond, the man who shared Al Schmidt's amazing adventures.
What's the sense of seeing Ruth just to break up with her?
Back there on the canal, I thought something about you I never told you before. I thought that boy Smitty has more guts than any man alive. I was wrong, Al. I don't think you got any guts, Al. I think you're kind of yellow. You haven't got guts to see Ruth.
I was only an ordinary guy before. I didn't deserve you then, and now I'm less than an ordinary guy.
It wasn't any ordinary guy who kept the Japs back that night. It was one of the most extraordinary fellas in the world. You, Al Schmidt.
Hey 30 with Tony Kimosabis. Welcome to the Dancing Troll.
She ain't got no money, her clothes.
Hey, hey, mercy, woman plays a song and no one listens. I need help, I'm falling again. Play the drum a little louder, tell me I can live without her if I only listen to the band. Listen to the band. Weren't they good? They made me happy. I think I can make it alone. Oh, mercy, woman plays a song and no one listens. I need help, I'm falling again. Play the drum a little bit louder, tell them they can live without her if they only listen to the band. Listen to the band. Now, weren't they good? They made me happy. I think I can make it alone. Oh, woman plays a song and no one listens. I need help, I'm falling again. Come on, play the drums just a little bit louder. Tell us we can live without her now that we have listened to the band. Listen to the band.
Well, thanks, Kimasabis. Thanks for staying with us. I hope you enjoyed today's program. I hope you enjoyed The Dancing Troll. And if you didn't, you might come back. But anyway, I want to kind of take you back a little bit. You know, there was a time when movies weren't on airline flights. And it was a relatively new thing, and they started showing movies. And, you know, there was some thing of how would people start to actually take to the movies. Well, the first week they did it, they had a terrible disaster because The movie had started on the plane, and the movie was so bad that a guy in the back walked out. Anyways, Tony D'Angelo here in 30 with Tony. Thanks, Kemosabe's. Thanks so much. Thanks to all our music contributors. Thanks to the Dancing Troll. And we'll be back next week with an even greater show. So long.
To make you laugh, I'd play the fool for you. Although the people turn and stare, I'd give my everything to keep you, boy. Oh, it breaks my heart when you're not there. I'll stage a ballet on a tabletop. Command performance, finger size. Though I ain't got no tune, my show won't flop. 'Cause I'll find the music in your eyes. Oh me, oh my, I'm a fool for you, baby. Oh me, oh my, when I'm crazy, said I'm crazy. Oh me, oh my, I'm a fool for you, baby. Let your love light shine on me. We'll blow a genie from a cigarette. We'll take a magic carpet ride. We'll tell our smoky friend, now don't forget, you must keep us side